Welcome to Kikao, your weekly authoritative program on Africa's agriculture. Today, we are asking the one question: is there a place for young people in agriculture? In a short while, we'll be hearing from those young people themselves on their place in this age-old sector. But first, here is a scene setter.
Youth have a critical role to play in agricultural transformation. At the moment, agriculture is not considered very attractive for the young people. We need to make it much more attractive than ever before. There are opportunities to do that, especially in terms of mechanization.
The youth would find what to do in the processes in agriculture. They're not directly getting soiled, getting their suits soiled in it, in the processing, in the distribution, in technology there, and the innovations that are possible in agriculture. Even sometimes disruptive innovation that is there. The youth can really get accommodation there. And by youth, I mean both sexes.
One of the greatest advantages of sub-Saharan Africa is the number of young people. It is imperative that our transformation strategies have to be made attractive to the young people to be involved more and more, especially in terms of adopting and scaling disruptive agricultural technologies.
Let's now join Dr. Canisius Kanangire, the Executive Director of AATF, as he engages a panel of young Africans actively engaged in agriculture.
Thank you, Joe. Youth engagement in agriculture is declining amidst rising youth unemployment. This is a growing concern because according to a 2014 FAO report, the services and industrial sectors have not created enough jobs for the rapidly expanding youthful labor force. This may in due course affect food security and undermine the efforts by governments across the region to drive economic growth. It is also emerging that a relatively lower percentage of the few young people involved in agriculture are using improved inputs, such as improved seeds, fertilizers, and agricultural chemicals. This means that productivity is likely to remain low and thus confine the youth to subsistence farming. The youth also feel left out in the ownership and management of critical assets in agricultural production, especially land. On this episode of Kikao series, we will examine youth engagement in agriculture and agribusiness as a critical enabler to sustainable agricultural development in Africa. I am your host, Dr. Canisius Kanangire, Executive Director of AATF, and my guests today are Lucy Wangare, a lead consultant onion doctor from Kenya, and Pacifique Nshimiyimana from Rwanda. He is the founder and CEO of Real Green Gold Limited. You are welcome. Briefly,
all right.
Who are you? What do you do?
I am a farmer. I'm a trained agribusiness consultant, and currently I am the founder and lead consultant at Onion Doctor. We work in the semi-arid regions of Kajiado and Machakos County, mainly because of logistics and also because of the hot climate. It really makes it easier for us to produce onions with our farmers. So we have built a farmers network of around 100 acres up to now, of which we sell the onions to the Nairobi market, and we're looking forward to doing more in the onion value chain because we are sitting on a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Very good. Pacifique.
Oh, thank you. I'm Pacifique Nshimiyimana, and I am a farmer, first of all, and I grew up in a farming community. My family has been farming in Eastern Rwanda for many generations. Then after graduation, I did biotechnology. I started the career of a farmer for profession. So my profession is to produce food, but also help my community to be efficient in producing. We help them to have information on what technology they can use. We also work with them on marketing their production, because as I started, I was a small farm. The production was really small that it was really hard to market it. So I used my community who are also doing farming to collectively market our production together and make sure that whoever buys the production we have knows also the struggle of farmers. So I'm also into communication. I help making the voice of farmers out, because I think there are many out there who are farmers, but few of them are really trying to speak about the struggle people are facing when they are producing the food we eat.
One curiosity, when you introduce yourself, I'm Lucy Wangari, a farmer. That is what you do?
Yes.
And you do the same?
Yes.
And how do people take that?
Few people would believe it.
Few people?
Yes, because they are used to unload dirty and hopeless person as a farmer. But I believe as the young people of Africa, we are the one who are going to change this story, because I don't think in 2060, with the Agenda 2063, we'll be seeing a farmer who is doing the same thing that like my grandma did, because the world is evolving, the technology is coming, and we have the most educated generation of young people in Africa, which is going to take part into what's going to be the agriculture sector in the next 10 or 20 years coming.
I hope that will happen. What is the position of the youth in agriculture today?
The narrative is quickly changing. Adaptation of agriculture among the youth is on the rise, and they are proud and they are talking about it. So probably for us right now is having more people in it and making it a lucrative business. Because for us, as long as we make money, we don't have a problem of doing gumboots and heels at the same time, as long as we're making money in agriculture. Yeah.
What is the involvement of the youth in agriculture in Africa today when you look at it?
I want to start by history. How has Africa been producing farmers? How do we train or make sure that we are going to have the next generation of farmers? In history, if you fail in school, you can meet the criteria to become a police or a soldier. You've lost almost everything in Africa. Then you think, okay, nothing is left for me, let me go to the village and start farming. That's how it has been operating. But I think we need to change the narration, and we need to change also the policy that governs how we train and produce farmers. We need, as young people, to come together, regardless of that history. This time we need to train farmers who are educated and give them space so that they can flourish and become role models to others that will come after us.
Why should we get the youth involved in agriculture today, specifically today, and going forward?
I think it could be one of the largest employers if we look at agriculture as a business. There's so many things that we can do that is beyond production. That goes beyond the whole narration of you don't have land, you don't have access to water. There's so much that we can do in the agriculture value chain that don't involve tilling. That said, we can't do anything without tilling being done. So I think our solutions and our challenges start from production, but there's so much we can do beyond that to bring the business aspect in agriculture.
Tillage and all those dirty and very hard jobs don't define what we call agriculture. Agriculture is wider than that. I think that is what we'll look into in a few minutes. Welcome back to the Kikao series. The young people involved in agriculture today, what are the challenges they are facing? The major one.
Okay, the first thing is mentality, because yes, for quite a good time, people have been seeing agriculture as a losing sector, as very risky, For example, banks don't really trust agricultural projects. And at some point, even the policy had like loopholes where like we need to change things. How do we equip farmers to not only be to be farmers, but look at them as business people, like my friend here was introduced. So farming is a business first. So if we change that mentality to have that the people in the finance sector, people in the politics, believing that agriculture is a business, that mentality itself is the first thing to do.
What are the challenges that you face in that value chain concept in agriculture, and how it plays and becomes a challenge for the youth in particular?
Digging into my own experience, I think one of the challenges I had initially when I was starting is working alone. Because when you work alone, there's a lot of information. It could be information on finances, information on information itself, information on markets. There's so much you miss out when you want to work alone. But the minute you find your tribe, that's slang for when you find people who have a common purpose as what you have, things tend to become a little bit easier because you tend to find referrals come in. Once you start working, you can work as an individual, but together you have a common goal. And when you look at agriculture as a value chain, the issues and the challenges of which person looping into the agriculture space. I've heard you guys talk about banks. Yes, it's true that agriculture is one of the most high-risk sectors. Bankers will tell you that, but ask them why. They don't know. Their information is at numbers. Beyond numbers, what else do they know? So as far, it's our job as farmers to do the data collection bit of it, or even the training, so that these bankers, when they're saying, we can't approve your loan because your numbers don't make sense, I want to ask them, other than that Excel sheet document you have, what other supporting documentation do you have? They do this for all other sectors, manufacturing, any other sector. They will have the numbers and will have some other data that they use to model to see possible results. So I think the major problem we have as youth in the agriculture is information which disadvantages us at different levels.
Information, data, evidence.
Yes.
Beyond the few numbers
Yes.
that the banker can be interested in.
Yeah.
How do we bring more youth into the agricultural sector?
Communicating agriculture has been not really good. You even find it with the image you see when everyone is talking about farmers. They'll bring you like a person that you never wish to be. The picture that they will bring of a farmer, at some point, no one wants to be that person.
Strategically, what do we need to do?
I think the first point of striking interest or conversation with anyone is meeting them where they are. So if we use social media, which is a very low-hanging fruit for us, for example, here in Kenya, I think access of social media and 4G internet is very rampant in Kenya. If we are able to meet them at that point, for starters, we are going to start striking the interest, because you can't force anything down on someone if they are not willing to take it.
I'm looking at you and at the image, professional image of a farmer. Because when you say involved in agriculture, I think of a farmer. He is a diplomat. You are a banker. That is, if we met outside, that is what I would say. Yeah. Because of how you are dressed. And every professional sector has its own etiquette. And in Africa, it is like the etiquette for a farmer is dirty, is somehow poor, very tired. And that is it. Somebody who has no time for him or herself. How do we change that?
Let me dive right into that. I am a farmer, and in my farm there's something that is happening today. I was answering calls and then I delegated everything so that I can sit here. I think one thing we should do is set up systems. Farming is a job. It's 8 hours in a day, let it be 8 hours in a day. And within those 8 hours, as what I do in my farm, what is the most high value thing that I can do? That is the only thing I do. The rest I delegate. Because if weeding will consume 8 hours of my day, and I can pay 200 shillings for weeding, and I can sit here and probably through this conversation get a client who is going to pay me 20,000, Why would I weed? I do what is most high value, I delegate the rest, and that's the system I use in my farm.
We need to also bring other sectors to think about agriculture as a sector that can also consume other sectors' products. I want to bring in fashion designers to think about farmers. How do we make clothes for farmers? How do we treat them when you meet them? How do you greet them? We need to build up this kind of way of living that will make role models, because without role models, agriculture will never get anywhere.
I think we have a role to play, and at a different level. Let's meet again to go through how to transform all the agricultural sector and what are the low-hanging fruits that we need to take so that we really propulse agriculture on another level. Welcome back to the Kikao series. You talked some time of the network of other players at different levels coming in actually to lend some strength to the youth in this business. What is it that you expect from us, elder in different positions, but also what are the other players you would like to see in what you call network, in what you call the value chain?
We have a group of friends, nothing very formal, but within ourselves we are experts in the agriculture value chain. So if I need a drip irrigation setup in my farm, I know who to call. If I have a client who needs seedlings, I know who to call. If I have another one who needs a greenhouse, I know who to call. If we know there's a young person somewhere who is struggling and wants to get into agriculture, we've noticed the passion, we can come in and provide inputs in kind or even monetary. We give them the support. That's something that we do here in Kenya because we believe the solutions we're looking for in agriculture, for us as the youth who are enabled and who are already in the space, it is our job to find those solutions and roll it out to the rest. Once we come up with solutions, I mean, if, like right now we have a partnership with someone where we are providing irrigation and agronomic support and seedlings. If we were to roll that out in a bigger scale, that is why I would want my elders to come in either financially or by bringing in other sectors, because I might sit down and write a grant for 4 years. It will never go through. But if I know you and I give you a call, you will tell me it's not going through because of this and that. So it's up to us what we can be able to do, because we might be limited in experience, number of years and networks, because they grow with time and experience. So for you who has the time at the advantage and the experience, if I'm struggling with writing a grant and you know how I can be able to source for that money and you have seen my work, you know, you have seen what I have done, you can see results. I think that's why I would like your support very much. Yeah.
That is very clear. I like two things in that. How in your world, in your networking, you are not competitors.
No.
You are supporting one another.
We actually, we say we are collaborators
and
in the
you need elders, older people, experienced people to come in and just fill the gaps where you can still have them.
Yeah.
We have a very youthful population, and many of them are now today educated, at least a secondary school, maybe university. But what grown-ups should do to support those people, those young people, to really emerge as leader of agriculture is to give them space first and the trust in the community. Because at some point, when a young person, we hear stories like within our network, a young person wants to start farming, maybe this new crop that is entering the country, maybe in Rwanda it's chia seed or moringa or macadamia, but you find that sometimes people in the family, those grown-ups, are the ones discouraging them. We really understand the reason, because they have tried it during their time and they failed, and maybe today they don't know about Facebook. They don't know that we are using YouTube to give out tutorials that someone can replicate.
That they could
I
not
do
have
it in
that
Rwanda,
time.
someone can replicate it in Kenya. So today, our generation has an opportunity to have access to some of the most important technologies like communication, fertilizers. They are now readily available in different places. So what we need to do now is to give space to those people who are trying to start and support them using the numbers.
And encourage the youth to venture into agriculture. But what you are talking about, the access to information from Facebook, brings me to another question. What are those things you see as the low-hanging fruits for the youth to venture in agriculture today?
The low-hanging fruit today is in the communication.
Communication.
In the mentorship. Because young farmers also are mentoring other young farmers.
Other low-hanging fruits that the youth can tap into?
Yes, e-commerce.
E-commerce.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I look at it so much because I love studying brands. I'm addicted to seeing brands grow and their stories and everything. So when I look at the e-commerce space, for example, anybody can be able to do home deliveries, for example, and the fact that the youth are enabled differently, you can be able to deliver homegrown food to neighbors at very prime prices if you package it properly. And I'm seeing you shaking your head because you can imagine that potato coming in really looking nice. So if you're able to invest in that, make the potatoes look nice and sell at whatever price.
For young people who are using technology, who can go on YouTube and see other farmers in Argentina, in Brazil, talking about what they are doing on their farm, today our youth have that potential to seize those technology, understand them better, and apply them to increase the production.
Fantastic. How do you see the youth involved in agriculture in the next decade, for example, next 10 years? Very quick one.
Yes, I think I'm anticipating about a 10% increase.
I think there is a lot still to do to enable the youth feel comfortable in this area, because we will not be able to fill the population of Africa if we rely only on the older people involved in agriculture, using old technologies, old tools, and not exploiting the current technological development that we have. I thank you very much, Lucy. I thank you very much, Pacific. And I believe we will meet again in another Kikao.
Thank you
Asante
very much
sana.
for having us.
And now to our science terminology of the week on Science Speak. Yes, that word for this week is aquifer. Aquifer refers to an underground layer of permeable rock or other materials such as gravel, sand, or even silt that contain water that is often used to supply wells, boreholes, or springs. So wonder no more where that water in the borehole actually comes from. Gumboots and heels, that must surely be the phrase of the week. The panelists making it abundantly clear that agriculture is not only profitable for young people, but it can also be fashionable as well. Until next time, this has been your show, Kikao. Remember to join us again next week. My name is Joe Agayo.